Today on the Angel of Words show, we will be sitting down with author Mark Byrd, and we will be discussing the themes of his book, such as racism, pro-choice, pro-life, and his entrepreneurship. Hello and welcome to the Angel of Words podcast. And today we have a very special guest, author and recording engineer, Mr. Mark Byrd, no relation to Larry or Robin.
Hey,
how you doing,
man,
sir?
I'm
Welcome.
doing good, man.
Thanks
How's everything?
Thanks for stopping by, my brother. How's everything?
Good. Things have been good. The flight was a little long, but you know how that go. It's LA to New York.
You're here, baby. You made it.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's the journey that God chose for you.
Yeah.
Which is also the name of your book.
Yes.
The Journey God Chose. Mm-hmm. A very inspiring tale.
Okay.
Kind of like a coming of age novel,
Definitely.
with three very vibrant women as the lead characters in it. What I most liked about the book is how it started, to be completely honest with you. You put in a poem there by, one of the greatest American poets of all time, Langston Hughes there, the Negro Mother. And, that poem was written from a woman's perspective. Your book is also written from a woman's perspective. Is there any correlation?
So I actually, how it all got started, man, I have to always give praise to the Most High. If it wasn't for God, I wouldn't have been able to write. I really feel like God used me as an instrument to be able to write the story. So because of that, what ended up happening is every night I would get different dreams, and I'd be like, dang, I think I should write them down. I had written a short film like screenplay before, but I never thought that was something I was going to be really doing. And from that, I started writing from a man's perspective at first, and then something just hit me, kept telling me this is not the way the story is supposed to be told. So then I ended up fumbling across that poem. A young lady gave me a book of a bunch of just Langston Hughes poems, and I was reading and I stumbled upon that poem, and it just hit me, and I said, oh, this is how I got to start writing it. And it changed everything, and that's just how it happened, honestly.
It is a powerful poem, and in your book, you go from the post-Civil War era all the way through the times of now.
Yes.
That's not easy to do, to go from the 19th century to the 21st century. You were able to pull that off. How?
So, again, it's all God, man.
Yeah.
The way I looked at my family's history, because there's so many things that I don't know. Mm-hmm. There's so many places that I know that we've derived from. So I didn't do the 23andMe? I didn't do that yet.
Ancestry.com.
Yeah, I didn't do that as of yet. But over the course that we were writing it, my wife and I, we had the opportunity to go to the African American History Museum in D.C., and I was just really in awe because it starts off, if you go all the way downstairs in the basement, and it's really dark, and you're like, yo, man, this is crazy. It's kind of creepy. And then as you continue to walk up throughout the building, it just becomes more and more a peaceful moment of an overcoming. And that's also even the way they structured the building is coming of age, overcoming so many obstacles. And I wanted to showcase all the things that these beautiful black women in this world, they are overcoming and getting through, navigating. I know me as a man, I know some people may take it a certain way that I wrote from that way. But if you look at some of the greats, Toni Morrison, all these people that wrote, they always included whether they wrote from a man's perspective or a woman's perspective. I was just giving that a story that people could also dive into, opposed to the things that you see now. And the things that I feel like I can continue to encounter is the self-help books. And it's all right, cool. Can we get a story?
Yeah.
We all know you can make it. You work hard, all these different things. That's great. But where's the stories at? Give me
Where's the struggle?
Yeah.
Why are you doing this? What's motivating you?
Yeah.
You know, how'd you get to where you're going?
Yeah.
Or where you are?
Yeah, man. It's beauty in the struggle.
There is beauty in the struggle.
Yeah.
And one of your characters in the book, who is, you know, obviously it's going to be probably everybody's favorite, is Carol, strong African American woman, goes through a lot in the book.
Yeah.
What was your inspiration behind that character, man?
So, we watched. I did a lot of research. And it's crazy that you brought that up. She just, it came up into play because I was thinking, how could I grab, like you said, like from the 19th century to the 21st century, how can I like make this like happen? And me going into like Carol's life, I try to write people that I knew, you know what I mean? And like people that I know that went through a lot. And even down to like some of my own experiences, because I can never say that I'm a woman. I can never say that I'm going to carry a child. I don't know what it's like. I don't. But I do know some of the things that have been explained to me and some of the things that I've seen and some of the things I've heard through stories and more. And I was just like, dang, like I have to make sure that people are extremely moved by her story. So that's how like it really like started really manifesting itself.
And I like the interaction, and you can tell the generational gap, but the strength though behind both women, because her great grandniece Lena, you know, she comes off as like this millennial, elitist, pretentious person. But you could see throughout the novel that she starts to humble herself when she starts to learn what the struggle was like in the early in the early 20th century.
Yo, that's so
And I
real.
love that dynamic.
Yeah, because sometimes we do overlook it. Even for myself, I have been caught like, oh man, maybe I shouldn't have said that, maybe I shouldn't have did that. But we have these opportunities, and we see like people like LeBron. Like LeBron is, come on, man. He LeBron. He on the wall right there.
Yes,
like
he is.
LeBron. He's the man.
He's the
does
man.
his
Yeah.
thing. And then we have some amazing writers like Lena Waithe.
Yes.
What she's been doing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And the stuff that they've overcome and the things that they have to navigate, which is great. We all have a story. Everyone got a story to tell. But sometimes we don't realize some of the struggles that people went through just to get us there. And I had to like get through that with Lena to show like, okay, cool. She had a hedge fund. She making money. She's doing well. She's necessarily not as happy as people may have, expect. But her visiting her great grandmother really allows her to see like, dang, like, man, not that I'm not ungrateful for this, but now I'm starting to see where like this hustle comes from, what people endure just for me to be able to be in these offices. And she's still going through stuff herself.
Yeah, she's still going. That's the part, you have a lot of themes in this novel. You have pro-choice versus pro-life. You have the raping of the slave masters, of the way the slave masters used to rape the slaves, interracial platonic relationships, the plight of the African-American female in America, and what made you kind of choose these themes, man? What made you want to bring these to life?
Well, I didn't want to go. It was different. It was different ways that I could have approached it.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to overwhelm the consumer or whoever the reader may be. But I wanted to showcase like as much as I could without overwhelming someone. That, man, these women are going through some things, and they're overcoming so many obstacles too. So I think, again, through it all, like it was God. It was really God that just used me to write. And you really touched on something that's very important. Okay. It's not overly vulgar or graphic. No.
I
didn't want that.
If you're a smart reader, you're gonna feel the pain of what these women endured. Mm-hmm. And you do get detailed, but it's not overwhelming. Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
But it's still a tearjerker. And that's really hard for a writer to do. Look, man, I write.
Okay.
I love to write. That's my background. And that's really tough for a writer to do. And you also touched on, the slave mentality and, how they dealt with their oppressors. And not only that, the way depression played a role, because some of them felt like death was freedom.
Yes.
That's a big theme in the book, man.
Yeah, man.
To really think about that. Death is freedom, man.
Death is freedom. To so many people. That's why people commit suicide, and that's such a heavy thing. And like throughout these communities, you know what I'm saying? People of color in general are going through these things. Not too long ago, well, matter of fact, it was this past week, I was on the train, and I saw a young lady in her it was a picture and it said missing. I'm like, okay. And then I made sure that I read the description, and it said she was 16 pounds and she was a white Hispanic and she looked blacker than me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, so I think that sometimes it like the struggle of even being overlooked with who you are, and now someone's writing something behind this person, right? I don't know who wrote that description behind the young lady who was missing, but I do know that if I was to read that and I didn't see a picture, how was I going to locate this young lady? You know what I'm saying? How I know that her struggle and the things that she's going through, what type of freedom is she like going to be given if no one can find her?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, no one, she ain't 16 pounds. You know what I'm saying? Like, this young lady, she looked like she was about 100 pounds weight, all these different things. And I really see that people during those times and still today still believe that death is freedom. And it could be, hell on earth for a lot of people. And it could be, people roller skating, no issues.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, it's really unfortunate.
And in addition to that, I think this book should be taught in schools because just because of the way it's written. I think it's a great way to try to mend fences in America, because we still go through racism. Racism still exists in America, but the way it's written, I feel like it could be taught to children.
Yeah,
and it could be a way for us to get to know each other and continue the conversation, because time is what's gonna heal, and gonna mend this era of racism that we've endured. And it's books like this that could help, as a not even as a band-aid, but could help, take away the scars.
Yeah, definitely. For me, I want to make sure that the scars are like written on the wall. You know what I mean? Like, people understand that these things happen. These things ain't fake. You know what I mean? These things that people are encountering ain't even 100 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would, when was that? I forgot what year, but it was a guy named of Byrd. I posted it on my I recently just posted it on my Instagram like this year or last year or something, and he was hung. And this was like the late 90s. Like, I was like, what the crap? Like, he has the same last name as me, and he looks like me. And they never found out exactly, I don't think, who did it. Oh, no, actually they did, and he was put on death row. I take that back. They actually did find out, and he was put on death row. But, these things still exist. Racism is still alive. You know what I mean? And we see it in our jail systems. We see it, in the corporate offices. I remember one day, one day I was at a table, and I was the only black person, and I was asking for money. Me being an entrepreneur, you know what I'm saying? I'm asking for more money. You know what I'm saying? Let me get at the table. Yeah. And the guy looked at me and was like, that'll be 10 lashes. And I was like...
He said that to you?
Yeah, I was like... I just stopped. And the lady across from me, who was also in the meeting, she saw it. Her eyes got so big. And she was like, oh my God, I can't believe this guy just said that. Yeah. And I was like, I got quiet, and she changed the subject because she knew how that made me feel, but not only understand, like, crap, like, what made you, just because he said he wanted some more. You're like, oh, that'll be 10 lashes, man. And like, tap me on my shoulder. And I was thinking, because of my financial situation during that time, I had to take that on the chin.
Yeah.
But then I also had to think, what if I didn't have, if there was no need, how would have reacted?
Yeah.
Would I would have given him the satisfaction of what he perceives us to be?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? That anger coming out. He's like, oh, see, this is how they act.
Yeah.
And now the role is turned of like, oh, that's who did. You know what I mean? So it's really hard. It can be tough.
It's hard, man, because sometimes sometimes it is better to look the other way and bite your tongue, but you know that innately, you're gonna get angry when you hear something like that because it's not funny.
No, it's not. It's not a game. And I think one thing that really hit home was like, that was in New York City.
Yeah.
That wasn't even in Virginia.
Yeah.
I was born and raised in Virginia, and then I came here to New York. I sold my car to pursue audio. When I was 18 years old, a week after graduation, I sold my Crown Victoria, which I love dearly.
And where'd you grow up, Mark? Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Woodbridge, Virginia.
Okay, cool.
But I went to 4 different high schools, so I was a little bit everywhere. I stayed at, lived with a friend before I left. And before that, I lived with my sister, lived with my aunt, my grandparents. I always moved around. And but because I had such an extreme, big family, like my grandparents probably have like 40-something grandchildren. Like, it's a lot of us. And I got to see a lot growing up. It helped me be who I am today. It really did. It made me stronger.
Yeah, such as, just one example of something that you thought was something that helped build character.
My grandmother, I think that's another reason why I think it kind of pushed me to write from a woman's perspective, because a lot of my family members, they're leading women in my family. It's the same thing. You go to your mom's house to get the best cooked meal. You know what I'm saying? You go to your aunt's house.
That's a fact of life.
Yeah, you go to your auntie's house. You're like, dang, I gotta get my hair braided. You know what I'm saying? Or like, dang, I need to do this. And then you have dialogue, yes, of course, in the barbershop, and you know what I'm saying, your homies. But something that a friend told me this week, actually, he said, when you grow up, you don't really have conversations with men. It's not until you become a man you become more vulnerable, because you looked upon as soft, right? So it's like I never had real dialogue with my cousins the way I should have until I became a man. Like, yo, that hurt. You know what I'm saying? Like, dag, man, me and wifey going through this. And, and they tell me they girl.
No, we have to, we were supposed to keep our emotions intact.
Yes. Whereas, like, the women of the family, they would sit at the table. I had to sit at a different table because, the kids' table and then the grown-up table.
Yeah.
So the women of the family would sit and they would talk. And they would talk their issues out and problems and all those things that they went through. And my grandmother established very early on about how God was so important, and she's still a praying woman today. And she would take me to church and things like that. We had Wednesday Bible study, and then Sunday service here and there, and they were just always there for me, especially my grandmother. I have to say
it's very interesting that you say that, because I honestly feel that there is nothing wrong with church. We live in a society now that, unfortunately, a lot of things have happened in the Catholic Church.
Oh, and all churches.
Yeah, in all churches. A lot of criminal activity, that, and the third. But I also felt like church was a good place to talk to people and engage with other human beings, build some sort of camaraderie. Because now I feel like everybody's growing up and it's like basketball 21, every man for themselves.
Yeah.
And that's not a good way to live as well, because now you're going to be suffering. If you're not a strong, mentally sound human being, you're going to get depressed, you're going to get lonely, you're going to harm yourself or harm others.
Definitely. I think that for me, like, regardless of people's beliefs, and I don't shun any religion or any religion or anyone's belief, even if you necessarily don't believe in a higher being or creator or God. I don't shun your belief. But when you look at the things that we endured, how could you have gotten through it? There's no way that you see, you know, your kids being ripped away from you. You know what I'm saying? While you're on a, you know, you're on some slave property and someone's taking your daughter away at 12 years old to have their way with them. You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you stay some form of sane? You know what I'm saying? How do you get through this? And God was able to deliver us through all of this. That's for me. And if that's something that people disagree with, it allows me to know that I know that there's something that allowed me to be where I'm at today. And I truly believe God got me where I'm at.
And he brought you to New York, right? You started studying at LaGuardia Community College right away. How did that work out when you started the recording engineer aspect?
So I went to my intention, I'm gonna be honest. My intention was to never go to college. I was like, man, forget that. Like, I'm not down. And I ended up at the Institute of Audio Research because at first I went to Queens Community College. Okay. I was like, nah, I'm gonna get some girl pregnant, man. Yeah. I was like, yo, look at all these girls up in here, man. Yeah. Like, it's beautiful.
It would have been hard for you to focus over there, sir. Same reason I chose not to go there myself.
Yeah, man.
It's like, let me stay in Manhattan.
Listen, man, that's one. I don't care what. No, ain't nothing like a Brooklyn girl. No, ain't nothing like a Queens girl. Yo, I'm telling you, Queens have some beautiful women. So at that time, I was like, man, I cannot go here. So I ended up at IER and I checked it out. I called my mother. I said, you know, I am going to go to school. I'm going to go to this audio school. And the reason being is because I'm not going to go to school for something I don't want to do. Mm-hmm. If I don't believe in it, I'm not doing it. Yeah. So I ended up at IER and I finished the program, and they had just officially created an articulation program with LaGuardia Community College. Okay. So I contacted the music recording technology program over there, ran by Professor Mark Brooks, and he welcomed me with open arms. I ended up applying. I got in. I got accepted, and I was there, and I met some great people, amazing people over there at LaGuardia, and I ended up becoming the assistant professor there, like towards him, and started working, and I started teaching, and that's kind of like how I started getting into education. Okay. Yeah, that's how I started, because I always had picked up a camera here and there, but it was always about the music. Like, my thing was I come to New York and I make it like Dr. Dre. Yeah. Not impossible. It's been done before, right? Yeah. So but you had no support system out here, right, my brother? Did you have like family out here when you moved out here? When I first got here, my aunt. But she didn't sugarcoat nothing. She was like, you going to pay me rent? I said, what? I was like, oh, okay. And then she held me down a couple months. I'm not going to lie. She held me down a couple months because I didn't have any money. Like, I ran out. I was on Craigslist trying to figure out stuff, like find a little gig. And I ended up doing security for many years. Okay. For many years. So you were doing security while you were going to school? Going to school. I was walking in. And, you know, you got to, some people, you know, I know some people don't like the word humble because, you know, it means meek and all that, like stand down. But sometimes you have to do that, because I was walking in, and some people feel like that may be embarrassing. I was walking into class with my uniform on. Some people were like, yo, with security in here? No, I'm in class. Like, I didn't have time. I would go straight to work, leave work, go straight to class. Then from there, go home, wash up, do my thing. The following day, do whatever. You know, I was in school 5 days a week. Now, you were focused, man. You weren't playing around. No, I was trying to do my thing, man, because my mother, she didn't graduate high school. My father did, and he had some issues here and there with the law. So I didn't get to see my dad much. And with my mom, she would always say, you need to graduate high school. But then after that, I didn't want to struggle. I didn't want to be that person struggling at 45. And I'm like, crap, if I'm going to struggle early. Yeah. You know, get those things out the way, so that way I don't have to think about them. You know, when I'm 45, 50 years old, I'm like, crap, now I'm sitting in this class or trying to figure out how I'm going to make, you know, $30,000 a year. And I didn't want that. I didn't want that. So you got into education, and when was it that you started doing that BRAC program, man? Oh, Bronx Rise Against Gun Violence. Yeah, because that was big over here in the city. You know, you were all over the place on TV. Fox 5, New York 1, BET interviewed you. Yeah, what was that like, man? It was great. It was an amazing opportunity. But before I get to that, I'll tell you a little bit of things that I encountered while being in New York. I started to, do some videography here and there. A friend of mine, Eddie Marino, he hit me up one day because I started going to his church, and I was like, look, I'm leaving. I'm out of here. And he was like, okay, well, if you're leaving, look, man, I got a gig coming up. Like, it's good gig. You're paying you $175 a day. And my rent was $500. So I'm like, all right, I graduated college. I'm like, I'm going back to Virginia, and I'm just going to join the military. That was my goal. I was like, I'm done.
Oh, wow. You were going to call it quits and hang it up.
Yeah, because I wasn't making money.
Yeah.
Money can be an issue.
Yeah, no, definitely. Right? Especially in this country,
Especially in New York City. We get all that, especially in New York City. So, and then after, I had also got the call for doing security at the hospital. And it was so crazy because I had applied almost like 12 months, a year before. And then they finally called me when I'm about to leave. And it was great money. They $50,000 and up. So I'm like, yo, crap, I need to work there, Yeah. And then with overtime, of course. But then after I got another opportunity, this young lady named Miss Aisha at Street Corner Resources. I was walking through a high school at Harlem Renaissance High School on 128th in Madison. And I came in with my camera, and I came downstairs. They were like, oh, they got a recording studio in this school. I was like, man, what?
Dope, yeah.
I was like, man, y'all are crazy. I was like, I don't know what y'all talking about. But they're like, yeah, man, they have a recording studio. So I went down there, and I spoke to her. And make the long story short, as I was interning, I told her I was leaving. That same week, that same day I told her I was going to leave, she walked me to the bank and she handed me money. She didn't even know me.
Wow.
I was only interning for her for like a month and a half.
And she believed in you. She was like, you ain't going nowhere.
She was like, I don't want you to go nowhere. I want you to work for me. This ain't a whole bunch of money, but if you could tell me that you'll stay, then I'll do it. And she gave me, I said, yeah, I'll stay. Yeah. She gave me some money, and again, another thing that God allowed me to get through. And then things started rolling financially for me here and there. I was able to, pay my my room rent because I was renting a room. Yeah. You know how that go. And then from working under her, I also built my own recording studio.
Yes, and I was able to, I was actually lucky enough to see one of those recording studios. That wasn't the first one you had created, because you create them from scratch, right? If I'm mistaken, yeah.
Yeah, so I my first one was in Brooklyn.
Okay.
I built the studio by hand.
What part of Brooklyn?
Well, some people said it was weird because people would tell me that it was also Ridgewood, Queens.
Okay.
They're like, oh, but it's Brooklyn.
Okay, so you're like on the borderline over there. Yeah,
so I was off the L, and I'm like, man, I don't know what it is, but I know that it says Brooklyn, but whatever, So I was in there, I put wood floors in there, and I was mixing records for people, different rappers, artists would come in, singer-songwriters, and producers came through, and shouts out to Star Trek. So he came through.
Star Trek is one of the producers of the show.
Yeah, he saw it. And I forgot the young lady's name. DJ Beck. What's her name? DJ what? B Craze. I know it was B something. DJ B Craze came through, and he brought her through, and we connected, and he saw the vision. He even did like a small promo for me.
Oh, dope.
At both studios, actually. And then a guy that I was working with, Joe Lindsay, he did a record with Swiss Beats, right? And I had interned for him before. I was running around interning in different studios. I worked at Stadium Red with Just Blaze, and I was just, trying to hustle. And he gave me an opportunity to move my studio, excuse me, my studio to Long Island.
Oh, all right.
So, when I moved it to Long Island, things didn't work out, and then I was like, "Crap, man! I gotta get back to the city, man. I can't be out here in Long Island." So I moved the studio to Astoria, Queens, and I didn't have any money. Me and my wife had just got married. Things didn't work out, and in terms of the studio in Long Island. So I'm like, "Crap! I don't know where this money's coming from." And the owner of the building said, "Listen, if you tell me you can get the money up within 2 months, I'll let you just leave the equipment here and everything until you build it up." So he worked with me, and then as that was all taking place,
what a blessing, man!
Such a blessing.
Nobody says that in New York City.
Yeah, exactly. The first month was free. I didn't pay the first month of
What?
nothing. Then the following month, he was like, all right, cool. You got the first month. He was like, all right, cool. Now you got to give me that deposit.
Yeah.
So I gave him the deposit and payments. And as all that was going, I was still working for Miss Aisha. That never changed. And then I had moved up to computer tech within the school. I left the security field. And then I got approached through Good Shepherd Services, which is a part of Bronx Rise Against Gun Violence. And they brought me in for a meeting, and they loved it. They were like, man, if you can really do this, man, let's do it. And at the time, I'm at the table with these people, and I'm like, I'm not even incorporated, and everything's like the Variety Group.
Yeah.
Right? They wrote me a check, the Variety Group. I said, man, I can't cash this, man. Put it in my name.
Yeah.
They had to go cash me another check, and it was crazy. It's just the hustle, trying to, figure things out. And
But you own the Variety Group now.
Yes.
That's yours.
Oh, this
now
is
you
me.
you
That's
published
all
your
day.
book through the Variety
Yes,
Group.
I
You
published
eventually
the book.
did make that happen.
Yes, I definitely made it happen because now when I sit at the table, I want to come correct. I didn't want anyone to be like, oh, well, he didn't do this and all that. No, I'm sending in invoices properly, make sure that the payment's there properly too.
Yeah.
That's it, and through Bragg, man, they gave so much to the community, man. It's amazing what they're doing in the Bronx. They're really like putting their lives on the line, as well as like Street Corner Resources in Harlem. They're doing some amazing things because they were the first. Street Corner Resources was like where I got my footing in to really work with, economically deprived communities.
Yeah.
And really seeing some of the things that go on and really giving, the youth another option to create the way that they want to and have a safe space to go to. And that was all like, the brains of Miss Aisha and me being able to also work with her and she utilizing me. And through that, I was able to get other opportunities. And huge shout out to Bragg and David Kaba for bringing me in and trusting me to be able to do some things out there in the Bronx. And we did some amazing things. And we still are. I'm here now because of that. I'm training one of the interns that started there who was my student. And now he's taking my role.
Oh, man, already passing down a legacy. That's
Yes,
fantastic,
passing
man.
the
Good
baton.
work. Good work, man.
Thank you.
Hopefully he's as good as you,
Yeah. And not to get off the book, I wanted to make sure that people understand, like, just to even lead up to getting to this book, having these dreams and these visions, it was so much, especially in New York City, everyone's busy. Some of the people that don't do nothing is busy for some reason, and you're always hustling. And I think that that's the journey that God chose for me.
Yeah.
To be able to give back through my community through music and audio and, engineering and these different things, film, technology, all of that.
Speaking of film, you about to head and do are you writing a script now? You're developing a motion picture? What's happening with that? 7 days.
7 days.
7 days. What's
Thank
7
you.
days about, brother? I know it's not the Mary J song.
Oh, no. So 7 days is actually, it correlates to the Bible. And it talks about how the earth will wreak 7 days, will wreak havoc for 7 days on its inhabitants. So I'll go into Revelation and stuff like that. And some of the things, not only is it biblical, but some of these things can actually happen, from weather we see, it was so nice this week. 70 degrees in New York City in January.
It's like I love it, but I know it's not good. It's like, come on, man.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God, it's so horrible. It's like pizza, bro. It's like, man, I know I shouldn't eat it, but man, it's going to taste so good.
Yeah.
45, 50 degrees. I'm like, ooh, I like this, but no, it's climate change.
Yes. It's so funny you say that because me and my wife were watching the ball drop from LA, so we're 3 hours behind. We're watching the ball drop. And we're seeing these people, and I'm like, man, it's not even cold.
You could tell.
You could tell.
Yeah, nobody is in heavy coats.
You could tell that it's not even cold. And I'm like, when me and my wife was out there, we was freezing. But these things are happening, all around the world, these different natural disasters.
Yeah, look at Puerto Rico, Australia.
Yes.
It's serious, man.
Serious.
It's serious.
The fires that have taken place in California and, all these different earthquakes. So many things that have been taking place with the earth. So I wrote from that perspective. And I also, this year, we will be shooting a pilot of a teleplay that I wrote. It's called Crenshaw Blues.
Okay.
Yeah, and that it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the Bible at all.
Okay.
At all, and
Okay.
we'll be shooting by this summer.
But it's about Crenshaw out there in California.
Yes,
All right,
because
cool.
some people don't realize how many excuse me, how many people, so many influencers through jazz and the blues and soul era. When you know about Harlem Renaissance, you know about New York and what they like, what happened, and you know about Mississippi, and you know about New Orleans, but a lot of people always skip over Crenshaw. It was a lot of black actors, actresses, and musicians who would play right there on Crenshaw. And there's you have to actually do research, research to do history behind like some of these nightclubs and what went on. Yeah. So I'm writing from that perspective about a kid who is growing up in the city in today's time. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you a little bit about the first episode.
All right, cool.
That cool?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. It's your world, brother. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. So it was all influenced by the amazing producer named Terrace Martin.
Okay.
He posted a photo of himself, and he talked about how the saxophone saved his life. And through that, I was able to actually start writing from just seeing that one little post. And through that, I spoke about, I'm writing about how, actually, you know what? Let me get, I don't know if I want to give everything away.
It's up to you, man. It's up to you.
You
already started, though.
Okay. Shoot. If that's the case, Crenshaw Blues.
Well, it'll be easier to sell now that they know what the synopsis is about.
Yeah. Hey, you're right about that. But it's a kid growing up in Inglewood, and he's encountering different things. And when he's at school, he gets posed about a question by his teacher, whether or not, like, if the things that you want right now, the goals line up for your future? So he writes, can we be honest in this essay? He's like, yeah, of course. So he talks about how, like, all I wanted to be was a dope boy. That's what I saw, and I wanted to be respected and all these things. And as he leaves out, he ends up running into like 3 people that don't mess with him. They from a different crew, a different set, and he finds himself about to probably get into something. So he's like, you know what? I could also be street smart. Play it smart. So he dips into a music store, and inside of the music store, he finds out that he finds more about himself. I'm going to leave it there.
All right, cool.
He finds more about himself.
Sounds great.
And then you'll end up.
Yeah, it sounds like something that's right up my alley.
Cool.
Yeah. No.
I don't want to give it all away.
Yeah, no, definitely
for the first
not.
episode,
but thank you for the little tidbit that you dropped on.
Yeah. So, that music store scene is going to be pivotal, and I can't wait for everyone to be able to check it out.
Well, everyone, Mr. Mark Byrd.
Hey,
thank you, man.
Thank you so much, man.
Thank you for dropping by. The book, everyone, just in case you forgot, is The Journey God Chose.
Yes.
By Mr. Mark Byrd.
Available on Amazon.
And before we go, give us your handles, brother.
Oh, okay. Yes, definitely. You can check me out because I still engineer at Mixed by Mark. That's MixedByMark. So definitely, you can check me out on everything from Facebook to Instagram, Twitter, and everything. I know I don't really post too much on Twitter though. Everything is on mostly Instagram, Facebook.
All right, cool, man. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Byrd.
Thank you.
Been a pleasure. All right.
All right, man. I'm out of here.
Today we got a chance to speak to Mr. Mark Byrd. Make sure that you go out and purchase his book, The Journey God Chose, in stores and on Amazon now. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Talk to you later.